at this time, there were some small children running around. They weren't old enough yet to work. So they would play a few games, and you might be surprised to see one go, Miss Mary Matt, all dressed in black, with silver buttons. One of those children was named
Neva Bell.
Neva Bell.
You better walk away.
One just like her, just a little bit smaller. That some say they used to call her Squirrel. Was my mother. They grew up 18 months apart. And they grew up on that farm together. And times were fun until they were old enough to go to field. Now, going to field is something y'all probably don't know much about. You know.
I think you just called her old.
Work. Now, if they were lucky, their mama went to field too. And when she went to field, she'd work a row and sit down. And if she sat down, then the children felt they could come sit down. It was so bad that granddaddy would say, baby, don't come to field today. So I can get these children to work. And they worked and worked they did. They grew up with a desire and a work ethic. And Neva loved to work. She loved to look nice. And you know, after a while, some boys would try to visit. Now, visiting the Graves family was not going to be easy.
No, it wasn't.
See, from what I hear, my grandfather wasn't the easiest man when you wanted to court. Now, I'm not going to say that every fella came to the house was of caliber. But I hear tell that one fella came to the house, and I don't know how sweet she was on him, but when he talked, he had this little drool thing that would hang to his lip. And one of the folks who lived in the house said, no, that ain't him. That ain't him. And apparently Granddaddy didn't think it was him because to kind of let you know it was time to go, he would go and he would go to the kitchen and get a glass of water. If you had to get 2 glasses of water, you were in trouble. And he might go to the radio. But usually, they knew to tell you better go. You better go now. All this took place. In fact, there was only one fella that I think never had the water problem. It was a young man that I guess she knew in 9th grade, but they didn't really court back then. But later on, this long, tall drink of water made his way down to Tibby. And he sat, and from what I hear, my granddaddy never ever got thirsty while he was there. For some reason, he said, yeah, that's a good one. Maybe because he was a PK, or maybe he could just tell that this man was somebody to keep around. And that's what happened. Now, long before they were married, you know, you have already heard that Neva was a teacher, right? And when she first started teaching, man, she couldn't wait to buy her car. A 1961 green Impala, and she was riding, and she hit that dusty road again. Now, I I don't know what you call Fred. Y'all done already seen Fred. But Fred was the brother cousin. And Fred couldn't wait to see that car either. Can I wash it? Let me wash it. Can I have the keys? And he'd bag it out and shine it up and make it look all nice. And then Neva would head back looking good in her car. Now, Kemper County is where my mother ended up living. But before then, TB had been home. But while Aunt Neva was in college, she moved away. And so while she was gone, Aunt Neva had struck out on life and was doing well, and she ended up marrying Horace Lane. You would think now that she got her a nice fancy car and got her a long, tall drink of water as a husband, that she wouldn't have time to go home. But you know, she would go home. Not only would she go home, but she made a point every Sunday to go home and cook Sunday dinner. Now, from what I hear, that's kind of when she learned to cook. So every meal wasn't necessarily Betty Crocker, if you know what I'm saying. But they were grateful, and they ate, and they ate, and her cooking got better and better. And by the time I came along, if you told me my Aunt Neva couldn't cook,
I didn't believe that.
I wouldn't have believed that for nothing in the world. But she was a sweet, sweet woman. And she loved her family, and me living in Michigan, we would come down like many of my cousins and spend the summer. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been to some nice bed and breakfasts in my time. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't nothing like the one on Queen Street.
Amen.
Y'all say Martin Luther King now, but
It's
Queen Street.
Yes.
And that little house on the corner. And you would go, and she made sure to give you a hot breakfast every day. See, I don't know about you, but I grew up eating cereal most mornings. And so going to Aunt Neva's, it was like, ooh, we get a hot breakfast all the time. And that was so much fun, and she was always there for us. She would make us laugh, she would take us places. We would go swimming. I didn't know the difference between a colored swimming pool and a white swimming pool, because it was, all I knew is we would go and we would get flippers and everything for a little swimming pool. And she just loved on all of us. Now, I don't know, most of you will probably relate to this. And even made sure that we knew how to speak well. Now, I grew up saying the word but. But you couldn't say butt around Aunt Neva. You had to say buttocks. Aunt Neva, I got the pee-pee. You got to urinate. Say urinate. I got the number 2. Don't say boo-boo, say
Defecate.
I hear tell that some of them grandchildren still do that today. That's how deep and how strong that root is in this family. She took time to make sure we knew we were loved, that we were special.
Yes.
Growing up and coming down to Mississippi, for the first time I was almost 1,000 miles away from home. One Sunday morning, I got up and turned on the radio, and they were playing the Shirley Caesar song about the brothers. Y'all know that song? And the one brother, he was fancy doctor, and The other brother was kind of a bum, and the fancy doctor decided to put mama in a home. And that other brother came, and he drove up in his hoopty, and I was in the middle of getting dressed for church that Sunday morning, and I started to boo-hoo and miss my mama. But you know what? I had an auntie that just lived right down the road that looked almost just like her.
Yeah.
I took advantage of that most of my life. That I could look at her and see my mom. And I was grateful. Because she would love me like mom.
Yeah.
The night I went to jail, that's a story for another day. But Uncle Horace took care of me. Every day, Aunt Neva made a point to let somebody know they were loved. After Uncle Horace passed and Mother Lane, we just said Mullane. Mullane was worried who would take care of her. But it was Aunt Neva that stepped up. Aunt Neva said, baby, you're not alone. We still family. She would take care of her. She would make sure she got to church. She found the right way to hide the keys. And she shouldn't be, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And she made sure that, hey, we will take care of you until the Lord says, I got it. And that's what she did. And she continued to take care of her. She provided for us. She took care of Alana. I remember when we were little, I'm not even gonna go into the Keetrick part. That's another story too. Y'all holler at me later. But anyway, she is always there. And many of you in the room have experienced her quiet, silent help. You know, it wasn't easy being one of the Lanes. When they first moved into one of that neighborhood over there behind the high school, where folks who looked like us didn't go before.
Don't you know?
Folks didn't say much. One particular day, they came out and there was a for sale sign in the yard. And wondering, what are we going to do with this for sale sign? Of course, if you knew Uncle Horace, he'd say, just leave it in the yard. We'll sell it and build one right out down the house. But together, they were a force. If you were fortunate to see them, live with them, then you know how valuable that kind of love and how valuable they are to you. That's not changed. For 90 years, Aunt Neva Bell to some of y'all, but she never did like that. That was what we would say when we were trying to get on her. Say, you say it, no, I ain't gonna say you say it. But Aunt Neva has demonstrated what it means to be a virtuous woman. We're grateful for the opportunity to have you in our life. I'm grateful for all the things that you've done for me over the years. And thank you for looking enough like my mama that when I got homesick, I could come and look at you. But most of all, thank you for showing us just what it means to be a Proverbs 31. As you continue to grow and to know, if you want to hitch your wagon to somebody, if you want someone to emulate, here's a great place. That has been my story and the time that I've been alive.
Thank you for that, Terrence.